There's a lot of people in the comment section always asking, what knuckles do I hit with when I'm doing self-defense? I've trained for many different years and many different styles. Some say top one, some say middle, some say both, some say bottom three, some say with the palm. Stay tuned to find out. All right, let's get warm, right? We're on those ladders, single foot, single ladder, 1 foot in the ladder, just basically warming your joints up, warming those ankles up. On the way back, he's monkey crawling. Remember, knees in alignment with your elbows. Just move at your own pace so you feel nice and comfortable, okay? If you guys are at home and you don't have ladders, just do it in the spot, high knee, okay? Do like 10 of those and then go into your monkey crawl position. And if you need to, just a couple forward and a couple back. Even if you have limited space, still means that you guys can train at home. Next time through, we're going to be focusing on double ladder. Okay, so now it's almost like a jog, single foot, 2 ladders, right? On the way back, he's doing what's called a reverse crab walk, butt nice and low. On the palms, go on your knuckles if it hurts your wrist a little bit. Your goal here is to move away from your attacker as fast as you can. If you guys are at home, let's make that a little bit more of a jog now. Knees a little bit lower, just jogging, just warming our body up. Third time through on the ladder with that reverse crab walk. See if you can go fairly quick. On your way, when you're standing up, try and do that tactical stand up like Chris is doing a great job of. Single foot triple ladder now, he's stretching it out. Why are we running? Because running is a huge part of self-defense. On the way back, he's going to be doing what's shrimping. Notice how he bridges up, moves his butt to the side. He's trying to travel across the room. Okay. If you're at home by yourself, you're pumping those knees nice and high, getting into that on the spot jog now. Okay. Again, do about 10 or 15 of those. On the way back, you're doing that shrimping. You can always shrimp in the spot as well. Just don't move your butt backwards. Just move it side to side. Let's switch to outside inside on the ladder. He's going to go nice and low if he's feeling warm. He's going outside, inside, outside, inside. If his joints aren't warm, he goes a little higher. And he's just, again, just getting that body moving, feeling how you go. On your way back, alternate between your monkey crawl, your reverse crab walk, or your shrimping. I'm going to show you guys how to shrimp at home while he's doing that in the background. So I'm here, I'm bridging up, bridging to my left shoulder, sticking my butt up in the air. That would be a shrimp. Keeping the shoulders here and shrimping up. I'm going to let Chris pass so he gets his warm up in, right? And he's back to that outside inside, right? Depending on how many times that he's done that, right, is what's going to help you. Remember, our idea of our warm-up is not to get a workout in, but to get some fluid moving in our joints so that we can train today, whether we're training by ourselves or we're training with our partner. Ideally, he alternated from monkey crawl, reverse crab walk, and shrimping. If he didn't, that's cool. You might mess it at home too. We're going to switch to what's called replacement step. So he's on the outside, inside for 2. Left foot, middle 2, right foot. Left 1, 2, right 1, 2. Left 1, 2, right 1, 2. Left 1, 2, right 1, 2. He's monkey crawling on the way back. He's going to alternate between that monkey crawl, reverse crab walk, and that shrimping. How do you practice your replacement step at home? Go in your fighting stance, replace your foot, rear foot to front foot goes forward. C step back so you can train it the other way, rear foot to front foot goes forward. He's doing his reverse crab walk. You can be practicing at home. When you're doing that, try and go nice and quick if you can. If you feel like this is too easy for you, always do it backwards. You can learn how to spin around with it. Lots of different things that you guys can be doing at home. You can even just do a core workout, but what I want you focusing on is the footwork, because today our footwork is so important. That looks good to me. Okay, so let's get into our footwork. So we're in our stance. In order to have good footwork, we must have a good stance. I don't want you to have too narrow of a stance. I don't want you to have too wide of a stance, okay? So if your toe lines up to your heel and you drew a line from your big toe to your big toe, you're less than 45 degrees, okay? So that means you're in a wide stance. Pull that rear foot a little bit further than you think, and it will give you stability for your circle strikes and your straight strikes. Okay. When we're here, let's warm up with our pivoting. So our left foot's going to pivot, then our right foot's going to pivot. So notice as my left foot goes to pivot, I go back to my neutral stance. So 1 and then 2. As time goes on, we can pivot together, right? But just one at a time when you guys are learning. You might be left foot forward right now. Let's switch. Right foot goes forward. Again, feel that pivot, feel that pivot. Pivot your body, rear foot, front foot, move those hips, use that core, move your shoulders, keep the head forward, okay? Don't even worry about your hands if you're focusing on your feet. If you can do both, great job. Switch again. So we're in that left foot forward stance. If you're by yourself, this is how we're gonna train how to move basically. Let's bring our hands up now. I want you to think that you're at a kicking position. This is your boxing position where your hands are on your face. You're in the pocket, okay? If you're not in the pocket because you're at kicking range, your hands are off your face. My fist is in front of my face. My hand ideally is touching my face. It can be off the face if you so choose. Just don't like it down, okay? Hands are always up. When I'm moving to the left, my left foot moves first, then my right foot. When I'm moving to the right, my right foot moves first, then my left foot. I move backwards, back foot, then front foot. When I move forward, front foot, back foot. Let's create some good habits with our hands now. Kind of pat the head, rub the belly idea. I move left, still at kicking range. Move right, still at kicking range. Move back, still at kicking range. If not, I've increased my range, so I don't have to move my hands. This is the key one. When I move forward, my hands come to my face. Let's switch sides, train on the other side. Right lead, hands are up, moving to the right, right foot, then left foot. Moving to the left, left foot, right foot. Moving back, back foot, front foot. Moving forward, front foot, back foot. Let's get our hands involved. Hands are up, moving to the right, right, left, kicking range. Moving left, left, right, kicking range. Moving back, back, front, kicking range. Moving forward, hands come to the face. Let's switch sides. So let's add in a punch while we move forward because that's why we're here. We're here to train. So we fire that jab. So my hands are up. As I go to step forward, my left leg steps, my left hand fires a punch, step and punch, let that right leg come forward, touch, and now we're in a good stance. So we're here, let's step back, back to our kicking range. Stepping forward, 1, 2, we're in our stance. When you're doing this at home, if you choose to practice more, get that nice and fast. Let's do a little fast. Ready? And 1, 2. Get that foot there. Let's switch sides because we got to train both sides. Slow-mo first, right foot, right hand, left foot comes forward. Reset again, 1 and 2. One more time fast, 1, 2. Work on getting that feet there. Switch back to that left lead. We're gonna add in the cross punch now. So step and glide, jab, touch, and cross. Reset. So last 1, 2, 3, slow-mo. 1, 2, 3. Reset, keep those hands on the face. And 1, 2, 3. Nice and fast now, ready, and boom, all in one motion, switch sides. We're right lead. 1, 2, cross, reset. 1, 2, 3, reset. Nice and fast. Boom, make that happen nice and quick. Let's talk about our blocks, okay? So if I'm in nice and tight, I do what's called a wing cover. Chris is gonna show this for us. So he's facing me, he does switch feet for me. He does his wing cover with his right hand. Exactly, so he slides all that beautiful hair back. He's protecting the back of his head, his elbows in, protecting from here. He's gonna do a double wing cover so the other hand comes up. Ideally, his elbows are touching. His chin's up a little bit because these things are gonna be smashing my face. I can't hit him here. I can't hit him here. He's got the good defense. Yes, this is open, but this is a computer that we need, okay? So those are your wing cover blocks, okay? A jamming forearm block, I'll just show it to you quick. He goes to block it, freeze right there, freeze right there. This is the position that he wants to be in. Okay, so your arms are greater than 90 degrees. You're using your ulna bone, so your pinky side bone, to be able to do the block itself. Let's train it by yourself in the mirror, or sorry, by yourselves, or if you have a mirror, works great. Biggest thing here is you're turning the hip, using that pivot. So we pivot and block and reset to our stance kicking range. They throw that punch and we block. They throw that punch, block. They throw that punch, block. Let's add in a hook punch with it. They throw the punch, block. Left hand or lead hand turns into the hook punch and hit. Again, reset and block, hook, reset. One more time, kicking range, block, hook. We're good. Let's switch sides. Practicing the block on this side, coming from a left hand from our attacker if they're in a right leg forward stance, and block, reset. Notice how I'm stepping into each one, and block, reset. Chris isn't stepping, that means his reaction is a little sore. That's totally cool. You might be at that level. Ready? And block. Let's throw that hook punch now. Lead hand, turn to the hook, and smash. Again, block, hook, reset. This has to be done fast, so block, hook fast, block, hook. You got it, okay? You should be nice and warm to be able to train your ass off. Okay, which knuckles do you strike with? Well, there's lots of things we have to talk about before we get to the knuckles, okay? First one is the natural alignment of your forearm. Whenever you're going to strike with something, we want the elbow to be behind our wrist, which is behind our knuckles. So if I'm going to strike something, I want to make sure that my wrist is in alignment with that. If it's bent and I hit it, I tend to have energy leak out here. This is where you could break things, or vice versa, it will leak out here. If this is all aligned, but your elbow is too high, you're going to mess your shoulder up. If your elbow is too low, you're going to mess your shoulder up. We're going to get to those in more detail. So which two knuckles do you actually hit with? In karate and taekwondo, when I first started training, they talked about the top two knuckles. This is your ulna bone, this is your radius bone, right? The reason why they said that is you want the most natural alignment that you can get out of this, right? So if these line up, that's great. You can go ahead and strike through that. But if you notice, if you guys make a fist at home and you don't have any training, right, you'll naturally line up to that middle knuckle, or maybe even like your second last digit, your ring digit. Okay, or ring finger. So when you're here, you actually have to train. So let's go back to the old school days of Taekwondo school. I'm in my Sensei Gary Lloyd. I'm in his school. We're in his garage, right? And we have to train to build strength in our wrist, right? So we're rocking up to those knuckles. We keep a nice alignment, like I said. And then we go into our push-up position, and we would rock forward to those top two knuckles. We do our push-up, we come back up, we rock back, we rock forward. Okay, so that's a great way for you to be able to train. Typically in boxing, they hit with those top two knuckles as well, but what do 95% of boxing or kickboxing schools or Muay Thai schools train? To wrap your wrist and to wrap your knuckles, right? So they're just trying to protect themselves, but they wear big padded mitts all the time. So it's a little bit different because they don't break stuff. Still good, still creating good habits, elbow, wrist, knuckle alignment, not knocking one or the other, just giving you guys information. Then I started training Shaolin Kung Fu. Shaolin Kung Fu said it has nothing to do with your bone. It's more so about the alignment of your chi or your energy. For those of you guys that don't believe in chi, don't call it chi, just call it blood flow, and then it's way easier and we can be on the same page. I like that idea. I hit with my middle knuckle. I don't have to temper my wrist or build up my wrist strength too much. The alignment is pretty much the same as what these guys are talking about, is just going through the middle of the forearm and up, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. And I started breaking boards, and it still worked. So whether I hit with my top two knuckles or my middle knuckle, it still was working. Okay, well, who's right or who's wrong? Fast forward like a decade later, I'm doing Wing Chun Kung Fu. Wing Chun Kung Fu says, it's your bottom three knuckles. Bottom three knuckles. Wow, that doesn't make sense to me, because boxers always said, like, that's your number one boxer's fracture, is it hits the pinky bone then shatters your what's called your pisiformis bone, all those little tiny bones inside your wrist, right? So I'm striking with my bottom three. What I did like about this was in close range, that's much easier to hit than having to be out at a longer range where I could let that elbow flare or I could twist or spiral it out. So the bottom three worked nice and close. It still breaks really well as long as you temper your hands. What I did like about that though, and what I started noticing as I went back to my old school ways of the traditional Japanese martial arts, and I said, okay, let's do a test with like new students, not students that have been with me for years. I say, go onto your knuckles. And right away, everybody went onto their knuckles, and lo and behold, they were on those bottom three naturally. So they went to that position, they held that there, right? And I was like, hey, go to your top two knuckles. And you start seeing like wiggly wrists, and it's really hard. And this bottom position was a lot stronger. That's because this ulna bone never moves. It's always locked in place, unlike the radius bone. So now everybody has a whole bunch of things that are right and not necessarily wrong. So what should you hit with? Well, in the self-defense world, you don't want to hit with your knuckles, right? You guys got to work the next day. So if you go to punch with your knuckle and you break your hand, you can't go, say if you type, you can't type the next day at work, right? Or especially if you work with your hands, like you might have to take 2 to 3 weeks off. So go to your palm. So the palm, we're looking at the L of the hand, right? Goes down through here, goes this way. I'm striking, I can still do damage. The old analogy of hard hit something soft. What do I mean by that? If I'm hitting something soft, I can use my knuckles. It's probably not going to break my knuckles. If I'm hitting something hard, I want to use something soft in order to be able to hit that. So again, who's right or who's wrong? Well, what's going to determine that? If my palm can hit, fantastic. But what if they're too far away that my palm can't hit and my knuckles can't hit? Well, now I have to hit with my fingers. Well, do you temper with your fingers? Right? A lot of people are like, use BUG, attack the eyes, right? It was only when I trained Shaolin Kung Fu that my Shaolin master had students that could 2-finger punch a watermelon, okay? That's really strong fingers. Like, that's crazy. They have to grab sand all the time. They have to punch the sand. They have to build up all those supporting tissues, just like our wrists, just like our knuckles. So that's going to take a lot. So it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Well, let's move away from the board for a second and let's look at the face. What are we trying to strike, right? The goal is take your knuckles, chin always down, guys, okay? And punch the nose. If you punch the nose bleeds, the eyes hopefully water. It's the center of the target, just like if you're shooting somebody, don't go shooting people now, okay? You aim for the center of mass, just like they taught us in the military. You're not trying to be a headshot guy. So I like that idea. Hit the center of the target. It should be pretty good. But if I'm throwing a hook punch from the side, well, if I miss the nose, it's not going to work out so well. So they say aim for the jaw. Ideally, you're aiming for the mandible. So the mandible is your jaw. There's a line right here. You can see a little bit of a pressure point into the back, right? So you're trying to hit that. Works great in theory. The only thing is when you're going to hit a board, the board doesn't move, nor does it hit back. The person wants to hit back, and they don't want to get punched. So it's very hard to hit it. This is why when we transition to our mitt drills, I like the mitt. Number one, look at the mitt's the same size as his face. Pretty sweet. Two, you're just trying to hit the mitt. Yes, you can try and aim for the middle of it and you hit your knuckles perfectly on there. Well, which knuckles do you hit with? Some mitts have this kind of curvature on it here. So it's actually teaching the coach to hold it down a little more. So the knuckles hit there so you can feel the impact across all your fingers and ideally to the top of the knuckles, or you just have big ass mitts on and that's just where you need to hit it, right? The angle of this changes. So how do I use the coach mitt to help me? If I see it flat, that's like his face. If I see it down, that's like his face is down more. This equals uppercuts to me. If I see it angled, we'll just use this one for you guys. If I see it angled this way, I'm trying to hit the side of the face. If it's angled here, again, same side, maybe a hook punch, right? Maybe an elbow. There's many different things. So uppercuts, hooks, elbows, jabs and crosses. Nice work, right? So it's all this, wow, there's lots going on. So when you're training, you're trying to hit the center, right? But look, if I hit with the top knuckle, my first knuckle, to the center, I might break my pinky if I miss. If I aim to the center with my middle knuckle, at least I'm kind of the best of both. If I'm aiming that second last one or my ring, maybe I break this knuckle. If I aim with my pinky, well, now I miss here. Wow, there's a lot going on there, right? So why not just hit with the center? If you take the best of all of that, just aim for the center here. When I temper my hand, right, I beat a bag of sand or a bag of marbles. When I'm tempering, I train for all of it, right? And the reason why is not just because it's like, I'm honoring my Taekwondo sensei, I'm honoring my Shaolin sensei, I'm honoring my Wing Chun sensei. No, what I'm doing is I'm tempering of, I don't know how I'm gonna hit somebody in the face because their face may be at a weird angle. And as I go to hit it, I'm gonna break my hand. So self-defense world, it's much easier. Hit with the palm and mitigate any damage you have. Okay, what should you be striking, right? We talked a lot about the knuckles and the palm and things like that. Okay, I tell you a quick story. Okay, training with police officers. Police officer says I shot a subject one from like 8 feet up. Right, he shot, it hit the person in the skull slightly off the center, hit the skull, went on the inside of the skin, wrapped all the way around and exited the rear. Holy, that means that this forehead is really freaking strong. If you've ever smashed somebody and they tuck their head down really quick and you hit the top, you'll know right away it hurts. In fact, Shaolin Kung Fu guys, some of them train to take hits off the head. And that's how they do it. It's not some magical thing. They're just using one of the strongest pieces of their head, okay, or bones in their body. So what are you trying to aim for when you hit? A really good rule of thumb, as we talked about, is hard versus soft. So if you want to hit with all these tiny little bones in your hand, make sure you're hitting something soft. What can that be? It can be a pec, can be a belly, can be a leg, can be a groin, right? Can be a lot of different things. Can be a bicep, right? Muscles, soft tissue. If I go to strike something hard on hard, the thing that's bigger is usually going to cause more damage to the little thing, unless tempered, okay? So if I'm going to hit something hard like a head or a forehead, ideally I'm striking the nose as we talked about, right? But ready? I'm gonna punch you in the nose. Once I do so, tuck your head down. There you go. I punch his forehead. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again, right? I'm gonna do it again, right? That's why uppercuts work. So now it's like, okay, if I'm hitting that, so again, I'm gonna try and palm strike him in the nose, right? He tucks that head down. Hey, there's no damage to me and look what happened to him. I'm not scared of hurting my hand so much, and maybe it can still do the same damage. What changes, of course, is that range. So no matter what I do, no matter who I'm striking, no matter what I'm striking with, one of my big concepts is don't think about aiming for anything in particular on the head, aim for the spine. So if I'm standing in front of him, the spine is his nose where his brainstem is, right? Ideally, I always aim a little bit lower. This is why typically if you've ever punched somebody in the face, your hand gets cut up after and you're like, man, I don't know how I cut up my hand. It's their teeth. That's usually what happens. Because if I aim for the nose, right, and that mouth is open at all, you're going to get your hand cut on those teeth. If I aim for the forehead, right, here, and he ducks down, I'm hitting the top of the forehead. I aim for the nose, he tucks his head down, I'm hitting that forehead again. I aim for the chin, and he tucks his head down. Whoa, see that? That would have deflected into his nose and caused a little bit more damage, right? So if anything, aim a little lower, okay? It's gonna help you and it actually creates more power, blah, 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 okay? Let's change the angle. So now I'm here. He's not gonna always turn and face me if I've done all my martial arts right. So if I'm here, again, where am I striking? Well, now it's like the side of his face. Do I try and hit the mandible? Do I change my angle and throw it through there? Again, number one thing is hitting the spine. Punch through him. I'm trying to punch people to move them away from me. I'm not doing it to knock them out. I just want them to get away. That's my goal. Get away. That's my goal, right? Because when they're away, I have a chance to get to safety. Hard hits soft, soft hits hard, always hit the spine, always create distance, create safety, stay safe.